Hello, everyone, and welcome to my Critical Conference 2022. And the theme of this conference is creative expression. So we're here to talk about how we can help our children express their creativity, and the fact that there are different types of expressions, different ways creativity can be expressed. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining me. Let me introduce myself and my session. Let me introduce myself firstly. My name is ADEDOTUN. I'm an architect and a craftsman. I teach children architecture, and I'm also known as Mrs. C. That's the name that kids call me. I'm very passionate about helping children express their creativity, and that's why I started hosting this conference. So stay with me on my session. I hope you tune in. I hope you listen in. I hope you tune in. I hope you listen in. And I hope you enjoy the video. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, please type them in the chat, or on YouTube, type them on YouTube, so I'll get to them. And if you want to send me a message, my DM is always open. My email is always open. Okay? So thank you for joining once again. Okay, so let's get right to my session. All right? I'm ADEDOTUN, and I'm starting the session with my topic. Okay? So hold on a bit. Okay. All right, so we are starting. So my topic is creative by design, and I'll just walk you through my slides and try to explain this as much as I can. Now, the reason why I chose this topic is because I realized that a lot of people, everyone comes to this earth with some creativity, and it's the way they are designed. It's not something they learn. It's not something they pick up. They are all creative by design, and that's why I chose this topic. So I hope you enjoy it. Okay. So, like I said, this conference is very dear to my heart because I was a creative child, and now I'm a parent, and I'm currently expressing my own creativity. And I carry that consciousness with my children. I want them to express their creativity. So that's why this is very dear to me, because I know firsthand the possible effect it can have, the possible effect it can have on your child when you allow them to express their creativity. I know firsthand. So I hope you enjoy this content. I hope you enjoy listening to me. Okay, so to start with, we are all creative. Now, let's start with the story of how I failed chemistry. In secondary school, I struggled with chemistry. I couldn't pass it, and it wasn't because I was lazy. It wasn't because I wasn't listening to my lecturer. No, I just struggled with chemistry. I couldn't understand it. For 3 years, junior secondary, SS1 to SS3, I could not understand chemistry. And I tried and I got tired. And I realized that it wasn't really the chemistry. It was me. I struggled to understand it. And meanwhile, I had a lot of my classmates didn't have issues with chemistry. They did very well in it, but I just always And I didn't have the same issues with other subjects, you know. So I later realized that it was just me, and chemistry really wasn't my thing. Now, to put this in context, right? Try to imagine if my parents had insisted that I must take, if my parents had insisted that I study a course in the university that I needed to pass chemistry. Just try to picture how much I would have struggled. Just picture it, how much I would have struggled. It would have been a lot. It would have been too much, and I would have struggled, probably still be struggling. So what am I getting at? We are all creative, but we are all creative in different angles, different aspects, different avenues, you know. But one issue is that parents actually think that they can choose where their child is creative. And it was a thing when I was a child. Now it's better, but I see that it's still there. And that's why I'm trying to host this, so I can educate parents. You don't choose what creativity your child comes with. You do not choose it. Even though we are all creative, every one of us is born with some kind of creativity, with something that we are creative in. But we don't get to choose what we are creative in. Therefore, you as a parent, you cannot choose what talent or gifts or abilities your child comes with. And you have to be conscious of that. Now, when you are aware that we are all creative, the next question is, do you express this creativity or do you just ignore it? There's a story in the Bible, bear with me, there's a story in the Bible that talks about the parable of talents. One person was given 1 talent, someone else was given 2 talents, and someone else was given 5 talents. Now, the person with 1 talent decided to hide it, to bury it. In other words, that person decided not to express it, they decided it wasn't useful for them for anything or for the world. It wasn't useful to them, it wasn't useful to the world. And they buried it, they hid it, they chose not to express it. The person with 2 talents expressed it, the person with 5 talents expressed it. And in the end, when their master came back, he was happy with the one with 2 talents and the one with 5 talents. And he took the one who didn't have, he took the one talent from the other person who decided to not express their talent and gave it to the person with 5 talents. Which means that what? You are required to express what you're giving. It's maybe not compulsory, but you are required to do that. And yes, it's a decision, but it is not as big as you think. It is not as complicated as you think. Sometimes you see your child doing something seemingly annoying. You may not know that what they're doing is expressing creativity. If you look at it from that angle, you'll be shocked, And interestingly, the best way a child can express creativity is to play. We call it creative play. It's not the system where you choke the child or anything. No, you just allow them be. Like the speaker said from the last year's conference, that children, when you leave children alone, they create magic. So you let them be, let them play, let them express it, speak skills. Not the child won't necessarily know that's what they're doing, but they're doing it. So you as the parents, you are the adults. You are more aware. You are wiser. You got to this earth before them. There's a reason. And you're their parents. You're responsible for them. So you can observe them and you will be aware that that's what they're doing, even if they are not aware. So you can choose to let them express it, or you can help them cover it up. But I do hope you let them express it. And like I said, the best way to allow them express is through creative play. Creative play isn't necessarily structured play. It's more like it's on creative play is on structured play. On structured play is where there are no rules and regulations. You just allow the child play the way they want to play. It's like when you buy your a set of toys for your child, and there are instructions on how that toy should be used. Typically, there will be some form of instructions, but you see that the child is doing something completely different. A classic example is when you buy maybe markers for your child, and the child decides to use those markers as people, and is talking, playing different characters, role play with the markers that they're supposed to use to color. Something will tell you, or something in your head, will make you feel, I got this marker for this child. What's this child doing? But you need to look at it from another angle. That's role play. It may not feel like much at the time, but you can just look at it and allow the child, allow them role play, allow them speak in whatever voice or language or character that they are trying to portray. Allow them. Who knows? That may be voiceover acting, and you don't know. So the point is to allow them creative play. They need to play creatively. Okay. Now, the benefits of creative play, there are usually benefits of creative play. You can check online. There are people who work with children know, and they always say that there are benefits. There are a lot of benefits. For me, the first benefit, right, is that the child is still young, so there's no pressure to be perfect. There's no pressure to have everything in order, have everything in place. The child can do what they want to do. They can be who they want to be. They can be what they want to be without that added pressure, And that leads to my second point. There is no pressure to make money. Actually, that should even be the main number one point. Because there's no pressure to make money, they can do what they want. Sometimes, from how about their play, it builds up into something that they start making money off. But if it doesn't get there, there's no pressure. The point is for them to just explore. Just explore. Just play as much as they can. Another benefit of creative play is that it inspires imagination. According to Albert Einstein, imagination is more important than knowledge. Imagination, the power to imagine. If you have a child here, if you have a child and you're here listening to me, you would know, I'm sure if your child can talk, if they are speaking actively or they communicate actively with you, I'm sure on more than one occasion they would have come to talk to you about something that is downright ridiculous. Sometimes you respond to them, sometimes they're like, okay, but that's their imagination at play. And it's very important. And we need to keep it. There's a research that NASA did many decades ago, actually. And the research showed that between ages 0 to 5, kids were they expressed the most imagination. Their creative imagination was like 98%. But by the time those same children got to age 30, 31, average age of 30, 31, let me rearrange that, right? Kids age 0 to 5, 98% of them were expressing their creative imagination. They could imagine things powerfully, and it was clear that they're creative. And then when they checked on those kids again, over and over again, by the time the percentage kept decreasing, and by the time these kids were in their 30s, average age being 30 years, only 2% of them retained that imagination, that creative imagination. Now you may say, well, adulting came in. I understand. Adulting is hard. Adulting is hard. Parenting is another level of hard. I understand. So that's why you should allow them be when they are not adulting, when they are not parenting, when they are still young. They have nothing to lose and they have a lot to gain. It's a risk, but it's a risk that you should take. It's a risk that you should take because everything in life is a risk. But this risk can give you immense benefits. Another thing is that it helps them with hand-eye coordination and to develop fine motor skills. Now, fine motor skills are the skill you need to button your shirt, the skill you need to do little things with your hands, right? Creative play helps them to build that, and then it helps them to coordinate their hands and their eyes. You understand? It's is a developmental stage that every child should pass through, learning fine motor skills. So creative play helps them. So you're winning on all sides when you allow them to play, when you allow them play, And then it helps them build confidence. I have a student in my class when I used to teach in a school, and I actually saw her confidence level shoot up. When she came into my class at first, she came in with her elder sister, who was clearly creative. That one could draw anything, could paint anything. As in, she was one of my star students. And so the younger sister was living in her shadow, literally. And I didn't like it, but I realized that there wasn't much I could do about it. But I always encouraged her. Fast forward to 2 years after her first time in my class, she was still in my class. She was still in my club, the art and craft club. And this girl had transformed. She went from being afraid and crying in class to teaching other children how to do it. And when I'm trying to explain what we are making, she goes, oh yes, you can do it like this, and she will go to someone who she sees is struggling and she will help that person. I saw this girl build confidence. Even I didn't think it was possible, but I saw it in my eyes. It's the same for adults. You are struggling to do something, you are able to do it. When you do it, it gives you confidence to do another thing. So it helps your child build confidence. And then finally, but last but not the least, there are a whole lot more, but these are the ones that I felt I needed to talk about. It helps their concentration. We all know how children can be. They are their attention span is very short. So when they learn to play creatively, it helps them concentrate. And it goes a long way. It goes a very long way for them. Okay? So next is playtime, expressing creativity or making a mess. Let me tell you about the 6-year-old inventor. This little boy, it was a private class I went to his house, and he had there was a corner of the house that had all sorts of junk. And I looked at it, I was wondering, okay, what's that? Why are they there? And then the mom just looked at me and said, it is this boy. He won't let me throw these things away. I don't know. And I've left it for him because I don't understand them, but I've left it for him. Now, what we as adults saw was a pile of junk, broken things that were worthy of being thrown away. That's what we saw as adults. And what we are seeing was a mess, because imagine all that being in your sitting room. What you're thinking is, my sitting room is messy, So that's what we as adults will think, that the child is making a mess. But to him, he was inventing. Thankfully, the mom was aware. So she actually told me, he's an inventor. We call him an inventor, But imagine if she wasn't aware and she could only see that mess, So children make messes. They always make a mess. It's a default setting. There's only so much you can do about it as a parent, right? So why not let them make that mess? Why not let them play? Yes, I know there's a possibility of them decorating your walls. But that means you have an upcoming catastrophe. There's a possibility of them messing up really good things. There's always that possibility. But like I said before, life is a risk. Everything is a risk. So this is also a risk that is worth taking. If your child is cutting your cutting, warn them, talk to them, and then get them fabrics that they can cut to their heart's satisfaction. That way, they will never go near your cutting. So we need to put that mess to good use. And besides, you are going to clean the mess anyway, whether they use it creatively or not. So why not put that mess to good use? So how can you help your child better express creativity? The most important thing is to be intentional. No, the most important thing is to be aware that they may be expressing creativity when they're making that mess. The second most important thing is to be intentional about helping them express creativity. And then you as a parent, You need to manage your expectations. You need to manage what's expected of a child. One of the issues that I had when I used to teach was that parents would always say, oh, my child should be able to do better than this. My child should be able to make this by now, make that by now. But interestingly, in class, this same child will be crying and struggling with something that the parent thinks is too simple. I thought this happened too much, and it was very disheartening for me because I had to manage the child and receive insults from the parents. But I mean, comes with the job, you know. But that's why I always encourage parents to manage your expectations. You know, it may look like, oh, it's just paper. It may look like, oh, it's just, I mean, what's this you're doing? It's a big deal to them. That's why you see that if a child paints anything, no matter how crappy that thing looks, they will bring it home and they would always want to frame it. It's the way they will carry it, like it's their prized possession. Why would they do that? They're not forming because that's how they feel. So you need to feel like that with them. Very important. So here's a quote from my book. As parents, we have to manage our expectations. And we do this by finding the balance between pushing our children and letting them do what they are actually capable of. There's a fine line between letting the child do what they can actually do and trying to push them because we feel, oh, they should be able to do better. So we need to manage it. You know, we need to find that balance. I know that, okay, let me know when I'm pushing. I know I'm pushing, I need to stop. Because children are not adults. What you can do, a child may not be able to do it. And sometimes, in my experience, I've seen parents say, "Oh, this looks easy. This looks too easy," and then it's okay. Mommy, sit down and try to do it. And then mommy sits down and can't do that thing. The thing the child did, though, they can't do it, but they are saying it's too easy for the child. Why? So we need to manage our expectations. Don't, if your child is taking a music class, don't expect a 5-year-old to be able to play some kinds of songs. If at age 5, they're probably still exploring the keys and all that. They may know some things. They probably will know maybe reading, I don't know the words, you know, but don't expect a 5-year-old to be able to play maybe a Beethoven or a Handel piece. So don't do that. Don't do that. Just let them be. Let them explore. This is only do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do. They can play for 5 years. Allow them. What you don't know is every time they press those keys, they're listening to it, they're sounding it, It's in their head. You can't see what's in their head. The same way nobody can see what's in your head. You can't see what's in their head. So allow them. Okay, so don't overthink it. Don't overthink it. And then the most important, okay, this is the third most important thing. Whatever your child is expressing, whatever creativity they're expressing, whatever project they are working on or they're trying to do, it doesn't have to be perfect. Perfection is overrated, even in adults. Sorry. I'll take that again. Perfection is overrated, even in adults. So why would you expect perfection for the child? Allow them be. Allow them be. Whatever they're doing, it doesn't have to be perfect. If what they are playing sounds like noise to you, if it is too noisy, plug your ears. And if not, just allow them be. Allow them enjoy it. Allow them enjoy those moments. Okay? And then the future is now. This is the basis of this whole concept. The future is now. Don't think the future is in 5 years, it's in 10 years. No, the future starts now. And how does the future start? You don't just cover talent and ignore it. Okay? You don't just do that. You have to be intentional about it. And the future of your creative child is depending on what you do with what you see now, how you handle it, how you allow them. Last year, I talked about the future of the creative child. We try to let people know that there's a future in that thing that your child seems to be doing that doesn't seem to make sense. There's a future in it. Right? That was last year. So now we're talking about creative expression. Allow them express. A good example is a child who seems musically inclined, or no, dance inclined. There are different kinds of dance. Dance or dances, different kinds. Ballet, there's hip-hop, there's ballet, there's b-boy. I'm thinking a b-boy dancer tomorrow. What other kind of dance are in salsa? There are a whole lot of them. So if your child is tending towards b-boy dance, b-boy style of dance, why would you want to force them into ballet? There's no need to do that. Another example is food related. You give your child likes to bake. So they actually enjoy baking and they can have things, um, pastries and all that. But somehow you believe that the child has to be a taster because there's money in tasting. Don't do that. Don't limit that child. Let the child express themselves as much as you don't. And interestingly, your part in helping them express themselves isn't necessarily some big thing. You just have to be careful. You have to be conscious of it. You have to be intentional about it. Now, one of the things that you can do is that when you allow them play, you can get them things that would allow them explore in that area. For example, if your child likes to bake, give them flour. Let them play with flour. If your child is tending towards fashion, they like to stitch or they are cutting your cotton, get them pieces of fabric, get them embellishments, what the tailors call it, haberdashery, those things, and let them play with those things. Of course, you're not going above your budget. You have a budget. You're not going to break the bank for this thing. So let's allow them explore as much as they can. So it's very important that you allow yourself to explore. It's very, very, very important. It's not overrated. It's never overrated. Never. Now, I recently wrote a book, and last year I wrote a book, and the name of the book is Dreams, Your Roadmap to Creativity. It's to click on the link in my bio, you will find details. It's available on Amazon for its token. So in that book, I talk about the dream method of helping your child capture, express, and nurture the creativity. So I'm just going to run through it quickly. This discover. That's where you find out what your child is naturally interested in. R is research, where you find something and then you do your research about it. Even though it may seem strange, you will be shocked that there are people making a ridiculous amount of money from that thing. I mean, who would have thought that being a TikTok content creator would be a big deal? Who would have thought, So don't look down on it, just research. When you explore it, provide avenues for them to explore it. That's where creative play comes in. Allow them play. Ensure that they play. Ensure that they can express it. It doesn't have to be, it can be in a structured environment, it can be in an unstructured environment, but allow them to play. Then A is to activate. Activating means that they turn the gift into a skill. It's not just, oh, they're naturally talented in this. They have to develop it. You can't just say, oh, you're a natural born singer. You can sing more than Beyonce. You can't just sing more than Beyonce. You have to train. You have to develop it. That's why you activate and you develop it. And then you maximize. That's why you share it to the world, because everyone is given a gift to help the world. So you don't just keep it yourself. Okay. So in conclusion or in summary, you need to allow your child to express. And while you pay attention, don't be too hung up on what you think the child should express. No, just allow them. I know that some children are multi-talented or multi-passionate, but I have an expert coming to speak to us about the most passionate child on Saturday. So you should watch that session on Saturday. Okay? So, but if your child seems like they're most passionate, today is music, tomorrow is fine art, next tomorrow is ballet, it may seem like they're confused. And yes, sometimes it may be because their friends are doing ballet, so they want to do ballet. It's possible. But you should also have it at the back of your mind that sometimes that child may actually just be expressing multiple gifts. And even they themselves don't know what to do with those gifts. So you need to help them. You need to be conscious of that they may be expressing multiple gifts. There are a lot of people who have multiple gifts. That's why you see someone who sings and the person acts, and the person has something else that they're doing, and then they tell you, oh, this is their pet project, and you'll be wondering, okay, one person, they seem to have 5 talents. It does happen. Some have 5 talents, some have 1 talent, some have 2 talents. Or whatever the case, the seemingly confused child is not confused. They have where they're going. They are trying to find their way, and your job as a parent is to help them express, to help them understand what it is. And then they can better express it. They can better understand where they are going, what they are doing. So, in conclusion, allow your child to express because we are all creative. And please don't think that you can choose what your child is good at. You can't. You can help them develop skills. You can. But trust me, it's way easier to help a child develop a skill in an area where they already have interest. It's like a boy who wants to be a chef. He loves to be. But the father says, no, 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 no. We have to have a Lionel Messi in this house. So you must play football. The boy will play football. He will, and he may eventually do very well. But trust me, he will still go back to that baking. It's just like it may become a pet project. But that baking may be where he finds his fulfillment. Now, imagine if the father had said, oh, you want to bake? That's fine. Let us all bake together. Send him to a baking school, encourage other baking. And then if you want, still add the football. That's how we find fulfillment. He will be fulfilled, and he just might still end up being a great footballer. So that is fulfilling his passion of baking. It's very important. Okay, so that's the end of my session. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching and listening. Please feel free to get in touch if there's anything that you want to talk about. So that's that. So if you have questions, please type them in the comments in the classroom. I'll get around to them. If you have okay, if you have a question, let me know. If you have a comment, let me know. Okay. So meanwhile, I can hold on and I'll put up my video. Okay. All right. So I'm no longer sharing screen. Okay. So I'm just waiting a few minutes for questions. If there are any questions. Okay. There's a question. All right. I'll just read the question and answer. I hope that's fine. If a child seems to be losing interest in an area where they are creative, what should the parent do? Leave them or get them back? Now, let me rephrase that question for you. If you as an adult, you as a parent, you are interested in something before, and then all of a sudden, for some reason, maybe the stress became too much, you became overwhelmed, or something you love became stressful. So for some reason, you started losing interest in that thing. How would you feel? If they force you back into it, how would you feel? You won't feel good. You will not feel good. So I think that the best course of action. Now, I say this not as an expert. I say this because this is my opinion, and I don't consider myself an authority. So don't go and say, oh, Mrs. B said so, it's words. No, it's still your decision, right? But my opinion is that if you let the child be, it's okay to take a break. If they feel overwhelmed, if they feel like it's too much, sometimes the training is too much for the child. It's okay for them to take a break. A 1 day break, a 1 week break, a 1 month break. So I think you can leave them. Leave them, let them choose. If they decide that they don't want to go back, I don't think you should force them. I don't think so. I don't think so. Because they will go back grudgingly. And they may not put in the same passion that they put in before. And that's why I said That answer, I hope I answered the questions, right? But that's what I was talking about. A child being more passionate. It may seem as if they're confused, but sometimes they're just learning to explore. It's like being in the water. They're trying to explore. Oh, there's this, oh, there's that, oh, there's this, oh, there's that. So they're still young. There's no pressure. If they want to do, allow them to. Okay, that's what I think. That's what I honestly think. Okay, so are there any more questions? Okay, I don't think so. Okay, so thank you for watching, for listening to me. So we're going to bring up our next speaker. We're going to do our next speaker. So hold on a bit. Let me pick up.